Okay, so now I'm going to talk to you about adverbs ending in mente. An adverb modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. So let's just mark that. Adverb modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. In Spanish, many adverbs are formed by adding mente to the feminine singular form of adjectives that end in O or A. So let's circle that as well. Formed by adding mente to the feminine, or maybe we won't, let's not circle it all. Let's do adding mente, feminine singular form of adjectives. Okay, so adjectives that have only one form simply add mente. Note that the ending mente is equivalent to the English ending ly, so it's like ly. Also note that if the adjective requires an accent mark, the accent mark remains on the verb. Okay, so here we have lento. If it ends in O, what they're trying to tell you is that you add it to the feminine form, and if they have only one form, you just add mente. So here's lento. We would want to change it to the feminine form, make it lenta, and then you add mente, lentamente. If, however, it just has one form, like alegre, alegre doesn't have a feminine form, you make it alegremente. Rápido has an accent mark, so they tell you that to keep the accent mark, and you change it to the feminine form, rápidamente. Fácil, you just add mente, fácilmente. Okay. Teresa canceló el viaje inmediatamente. She did it immediately. Cartagena de Indias es particularmente bella. Cartagena de Indias is particularly beautiful. El piloto habla especialmente bien en español. So the pilot speaks especially well in English. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some practice. Okay, so basically we just want to add, let's put that over here, add mente. If your adjective ends in O, change the ending to A before adding mente. Okay, and if your adjective has an accent, keep it. Okay, so that's pretty much all we've got to remember. Right here. Let's just kind of circle that. Add mente. Okay, so that's the main thing. Add mente. Whoops. Okay, so el español es, so what we're going to do is change the adjective in parentheses in order to complete the statement logically. So en español, el español es difícil para mí porque no aprendo idiomas. Easy or clear? We're going to pick easy. Easy makes the most sense. Okay. Uh-oh. And since easy doesn't end in O, we're just going to plain old add mente to it. So what I would write is, and we're going to keep our accent mark. Whoops. Fácilmente. So, el español es difícil para mí porque no aprendo idiomas fácilmente. Okay. Manuel camina blank a la escuela porque no quiere llegar tarde. So if he doesn't want to get there late, he's going to go how? Weak or quick? He's going to go, we want to change it to quickly. It does end in an O. So I am going to, what? am going to use, I'm going to keep its accent. Rápido, I'm going to change it to an A and then add mente. Rápidamente. Okay. Ana es muy inteligente. Habla francés, inglés y español. Nervous or perfect. If she's very intelligent, probably perfectly. That's what we want to make. So perfecto ends in O, so I've got to make it perfecta and then add mente. Whoops. Perfecta, then add mente. Okay. No voy a ese concierto porque los músicos tocan. If you don't want to go, they probably play horribly. So I want to change horrible to horribly, and I just add mente. Horriblemente. Okay. A Juan le gusta visitar a su abuelo en Michigan, blank en el verano cuando hace buen tiempo. So sadly or especially in the summer makes more sense, right? Okay, it doesn't end in O, so I don't need to make any changes, no A's, I just need to add mente. Especialmente. Okay. Cuando no tengo problemas en mi vida, duermo difficultly or tranquilly, probably tranquilly. It ends in O, so I want to make it tranquila, change my O to an A, and then add mente. Tranquilamente. Can't even talk. El profesor es muy bueno, enseña la clase. So if he's good, he's not going to be teaching it horribly. He's going to be teaching it passionately. Okay. So I'm going to take apasionado and make it feminine. Apasionada and then add mente. Apasionadamente. El padre no habla mucho, pero mi madre habla constantly or difficultly. Probably constantly makes most sense. And since it doesn't end in O, I don't add an A, I just add mente. Constantemente. So my mother speaks constantly. And that's probably how it is in my house too. Manejo cuando nieva porque no quiero tener un accidente. So if it's snowing, you're probably not driving happily, you're probably driving carefully if you don't want to have an accident. That does end in an O, so I'm going to change my O to an A. Cuidadosa, and then add my mente. Cuidadosamente. No entiendo a Juan, él no habla seguro o claro. He doesn't speak clearly. Claro, it ends in an O, so I'm going to change it to an A. Clara, and then add mente. Claramente. Cuando Ana me dijo que Teresa estaba muy enferma, fui a la casa de Teresa if she was sick, not enormously, but immediately. Okay. Inmediatamente. Okay, and just so you understand what adverbs are, if you look here, I don't learn languages easily. What the easily is describing learning, which is a verb. That's when you use an adverb, okay? Caminar rápidamente, what you're doing quickly is walking. Walking is a verb. That's why this is, that's why you use an adverb. Ana es muy inteligente, habla francés, inglés y español perfectamente. So what she does is she speaks perfectly. That's describing a verb. That means it's an adverb. Actually, here, let me go back. No, that's right. Okay, so no voy a ese concierto porque los músicos tocan horriblemente. They play horribly. So what you're describing is how they play, and so that's why it's an adverb. A Juan le gusta visitar a su abuelo in Michigan, especially in the summer. It's describing when he wants to visit. So he especially wants to visit again. That's how he wants to visit. That would be an adverb. Cuando no tengo problemas en mi vida, duermo tranquilamente. That's describing how you sleep. That's why it's an adverb. Enseña la clase apasionadamente. How he teaches is passionately. And so that's describing the verb. You use an adverb. Speaks constantly. Constantly is describing how the mother speaks. That's constantly describes the verb, so that's why you need an adverb. Manejo cuidadosamente, that describes how you drive. Driving is a verb, that's why you need an adverb. No entiendo a Juan, él no habla claramente, so that describes how he speaks, that's why you need an adverb. And cuando Ana me dijo que Teresa estaba muy enferma, fui a la casa de Teresa inmediatamente. That describes how you went. You went immediately. Again, that's describing a verb. That's why you need an adverb. Okay, there's one more. Cuando voy a una fiesta formal me visto, probably elegantly. And it's describing how you dress yourself, which is a verb, which would be elegante. You don't make any changes. Mente.